I lost 2 people I loved, then got lectured about family unity. You ever sit through a funeral and realize you're the only person in the room who actually gives a damn? That was me. Front pew. Black suit that didn't quite fit. 2 caskets. And a whole room full of people who didn't deserve to say her name. They showed up for the performance, black dresses, fake tears, polite hugs, but I knew the truth. Most of them didn't know my sister. And the few who did, they gave up on her a long time ago. So when Uncle Don stood up and started talking about family unity, I almost walked out right then. But I stayed. Out of respect for her. And for him. Emma and Tyler. My sister and my best friend. Gone in the same goddamn week. And I swear to God, if I hear one more person say everything happens for a reason, I'm going to lose it. Let me back up. This doesn't start with a funeral. It starts a few months before that, in a diner off Route 59. Emma had just gotten out of rehab, her 3rd round, and she looked better than I'd seen her in years. Clear eyes. Steady hands. She even ordered real food instead of just coffee. I'm not saying I've got it all figured out, she said, poking at her eggs. But I'm not chasing anything anymore. That's a start, right? It was more than a start. It was a miracle. We grew up in a house that looked picture perfect from the outside, 3-bedroom ranch, trimmed hedges, mom's roses always blooming just right. But inside? It was cold. Controlled. My parents were the kind of people who believed emotions were weaknesses, that therapy was for the soft, and addiction was a personal failing. When Emma started using in high school, they called it attention-seeking. When she OD'd the first time, they told people it was a bad reaction to medication. They sent her to rehab, sure, but not out of love. Out of shame. Damage control. I was the only one who visited her. Every time. And Tyler, God, Tyler. He wasn't blood, but he might as well have been. He and I met freshman year of college, both too awkward to make real friends but too stubborn to let that stop us. He was the first person I ever told I was gay. Didn't even blink. Just handed me a beer and said, "Cool. You wanna play Mario Kart or talk about it?" He was there the first time Emma relapsed. The second. The third. Every time she climbed back up, he was the one holding the ladder with me. So when they both died within 5 days of each other, it didn't feel like grief, it felt like the world had taken a sledgehammer to everything that still made sense. Tyler's was a hit and run. Jogging at night, headphones in. Driver never stopped. Emma's, well, she had a year sober. Then someone at her halfway house relapsed and dragged her down with them. Fentanyl-laced heroin. She didn't stand a chance. So now, here I am, sitting in a church filled with people who let her drown. Who let both of them drown. And Uncle Don, who never once visited Emma in rehab, who called Tyler your little boyfriend with that smirk, has the nerve to stand at that podium and talk about how this is a reminder to come together as a family. I clenched my fists so tight I left crescent-shaped marks in my palms. When he said, "We need to stop holding grudges and learn to forgive," I almost laughed out loud. Forgive what? Forgive the way they let Emma rot in silence? The way they smiled at Tyler's face but whispered about him behind his back? I didn't cause this division. But I was damn sure about to say something about it. Uncle Don was still going. We have to remember that no matter what happens, blood is blood. At the end of the day, family is what matters most. We need to put the past behind us. That was it. That was the line. I stood up. A few heads turned, then a few more. You could feel the shift in the room, polite morning cracking into something sharper. I wasn't on the program. No one expected me to speak. That was intentional. But I walked right up to the front anyway. Don stepped back, confused. "Eli, this isn't really. I'll just be a minute," I said into the mic. My voice echoed too loud at first, but I didn't care. My heart was pounding like I'd just run a marathon. I turned to the crowd. Looked at the faces pretending they didn't avoid Emma for years. The relatives who'd laughed behind Tyler's back. The people who let both of them slip away, then showed up here today like they earned the right to grieve. "Some of you probably don't know this," I started. "But Tyler and I were together." Silence. I let it sit. We'd been dating for just over a year. And we didn't announce it because, well, let's be honest, most of you made it pretty clear how you felt. He wasn't family enough. He was just a friend. So when he died last week, I didn't get to grieve like a partner. I got a few awkward condolences and some side glances. No one brought a casserole. There were a few uncomfortable chuckles. The kind people make when they want to pretend they didn't just get called out. I looked toward Emma's casket. Took a breath. And Emma, you all gave up on her. Don't shake your heads. I saw it. I lived it. Every time she messed up, you backed further away. She was fighting demons none of you even tried to understand. And still, she made it almost a year clean. She fought hard. But she didn't get support, she got silence. I could feel my throat tightening, but I wasn't about to stop now. So when I hear people talking about family unity, I have to ask, where was that unity when she needed help paying for her treatment? Where was that unity when Tyler was volunteering at food banks, or helping me pick up Emma off the bathroom floor? No one said a word. Family isn't about blood, I said. It's about who shows up, who stays, who keeps picking you up even when you're messy and ugly and at your worst. Tyler was my family. Emma was my family. And the two people in those caskets were more loyal, more loving, and more present than most of the people in this room. I stepped back from the mic. And for one perfect second, there was nothing but silence. Then I walked straight out of the church, into the blinding afternoon sun, my legs trembling like they didn't know how to hold me anymore. I sat on the curb outside, suit jacket off, tie yanked loose, head in my hands. I don't know how long I sat there before someone joined me. It was my cousin Lauren, the only one in the whole family who ever really talked to Emma after she got clean. She didn't say anything at first. Just handed me a cold bottle of water and sat beside me like we were kids again. Finally, she said, "You said what needed to be said." "I probably ruined every family holiday for the next decade," I muttered. She laughed quietly. "Good. Maybe they'll finally learn how to listen." Lauren and I sat in silence until the funeral crowd started trickling out behind us. I could feel the sideways glances burning into the back of my neck. Like I was the problem now. Like I was the one who made things messy. I didn't care. Let them gossip. Let them twist it. I wasn't the one who disappeared when it counted. Later that evening, back at my apartment, I sat on the floor with a half-eaten slice of pizza, staring at the urn on my bookshelf. Tyler's ashes. He never liked the idea of being buried. Said cemeteries felt too final. "If I die," he once joked, "put me somewhere I can still judge your outfit choices." So there he was, watching over my thrift store armchair and IKEA coffee table like the sarcastic ghost I didn't know how to live without. That's when my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. "Eli," a voice said. Female. Too familiar. "Yeah? This is Aunt Maureen." I sighed. "You know you can just text me like a normal person, right?" She ignored the jab. I wanted to say I'm sorry. About what happened at the service. "Which part?" I asked. "The sermon on loyalty from a guy who's never visited Emma once? Or the part where half the family looked like they were about to throw holy water on me after I said I dated Tyler?" A pause. Then, "Look, I'm not calling to argue. I think you should know something. About your parents." I froze. "They've been trying to reach you. But they don't know how. Your dad, he's not well. Cancer. Stage 4. That hit like a punch to the chest. Sudden. Confusing. Almost cruel." "You're kidding." "I wouldn't. Not about this." I sat down hard, heart racing. I hadn't spoken to my parents in nearly 3 years. Not since the fight. The big one. The one where my dad told me I was choosing sin over family and my mom just stood there, silent, like always. I'd left that night and never looked back. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I thought you'd want the chance to say goodbye." I didn't answer right away. My fingers were white-knuckling the phone. My stomach twisted. "I already said goodbye," I said finally. "The night they said I was no longer their son." She sighed, soft but sharp. "Eli, you lost your sister. Your partner. And now, maybe your father. Don't let anger be the last thing you carry." Click. She hung up. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept hearing Tyler's voice in my head, from some long-ago road trip. "You can be right, or you can be free. Pick one." The next morning, I drove 2.5 hours to my parents' house. The driveway looked the same. The porch swing still creaked in the wind. For a second, I almost turned around. But I didn't. I knocked. My mom opened the door. Her face looked older than I remembered, drawn, pale, like all the light had been drained out of her. She didn't say anything at first. Just looked at me like she couldn't believe I was real. Then she whispered, "He's in the back room." I walked through the house like a stranger. Past the family portraits that had never included Tyler. Past the bookshelf where Emma's awards had once stood, long since taken down. Dad was lying on a hospital bed, a tank hissing softly beside him. He looked small. Not the man who'd once towered over me with that thundercloud voice. Just tired. His eyes opened when I stepped in. There was a long silence. Then, in a voice rough like gravel, I didn't think you'd come. I almost didn't, I said. Guess I figured dying was the one thing you wouldn't find a way to be disappointed about. He laughed, just once. A low, rattling sound that hurt to hear. I deserve that. You deserve a lot more. I know. I sat down in the chair beside him. I loved him, I said. Tyler. I loved him. And Emma, she deserved better. From all of us. His jaw clenched. But he didn't argue. I wasn't strong enough, he said, to accept what I didn't understand. It wasn't about strength, I said. It was about love. You just didn't have it when I needed it. He nodded slowly. I do now. Maybe he did. Maybe it was too late. But maybe, just maybe, saying it now counted for something. I stayed for an hour. Maybe two. Time moved strange in that room. My dad didn't try to make excuses. Didn't beg for forgiveness. He just talked. About things he never had before. About how he'd grown up with a father who beat the softness out of him. About how he thought discipline was love, and silence was strength. How he never learned how to show up without trying to fix or control something. I thought if I ignored it long enough, he said, maybe it would go away. The drinking. The drugs. You. I didn't flinch. I didn't argue. What was the point? You didn't lose me because I'm gay, I said. You lost me because you stopped trying to understand me. Because I spent years hoping you'd ask one real question about my life and you never did. He looked at me then, and there was something in his eyes I hadn't seen since I was a kid. Regret. The kind that sticks. If I could do it over, he started. You can't, I cut in. But you can do better now. If you mean it. He nodded, slow and solemn, like someone signing an invisible contract. I didn't cry until I was back in the car. Not for him, really. Not even for me. But for everything we lost in the space between love and pride. For every moment Emma deserved better. For all the versions of Tyler's life I'd never get to see play out. That was the thing about grief, it wasn't sharp all the time. Sometimes it was quiet. Heavy. Like a stone you just learned how to carry. A month later, we held a memorial at the local community center. This one wasn't for show. No black suits. No fake tears. Just the people who actually mattered. Friends. Old roommates. People Emma met in rehab. Tyler's co-workers, teammates from a rec league he loved. I stood up, cleared my throat, and said, we're not here to pretend they were perfect. We're here because we loved them even when they weren't. And then, out of nowhere, my mom walked up. I hadn't seen her speak in public since my middle school science fair. She held a piece of folded paper in her hands, trembling. She unfolded it, looked out at the crowd, and read a letter. To Emma, I'm sorry I made you fight so hard just to be heard. You were trying to stay alive, and I was too busy worrying what the neighbors would think. I should have sat with you. I should have said your name out loud, even when it scared me. I miss you. I love you. I'm proud of every day you fought to come back. She paused. Took a breath. To Tyler, thank you for loving my son without apology. Thank you for showing him the kind of care this family forgot how to give. I wish I'd gotten to know you better. I wish I'd seen you sooner. I wasn't sure if the room was breathing at all. Then she folded the letter, stepped down, and sat beside me. Did it fix everything? No. But it cracked open a window. Let some light in. Later that night, I sat on my porch with a glass of wine and Tyler's old hoodie slung over my shoulders. Lauren dropped by with a box of Emma's stuff. She'd found old journals, half-filled sketchbooks, a photo strip from some arcade. Inside one of the notebooks was a page torn loose and folded into quarters. I opened it slowly, careful not to smudge the ink. It was a list. Titled, People Who Kept Showing Up. There were only 2 names on it. Eli. Tyler. I stared at it for a long time. And for the first time in months, I smiled without guilt. They were gone, yeah. But they were never forgotten. And I'd carry them with me, in memory, in stories, in every loud, inconvenient, unconditional act of love I could still give to this world. Because family isn't who you're born to. It's who stays when everything else falls apart.